25 years. Within a quarter of a century, which is almost as long as the video game industry itself, Megaman has introduced gamers to what is best described as some of the most creative and revolutionary games ever created. Who would have thought that a little blue robot would touch so many people young and old with these challenging and worthwhile games? Until the unpopular decision that was made by Capcom to drown out the Blue Bomber when it cancelled his upcoming games in favour of an awful app that was designed with the sole purpose to piss people off, Megaman has a lot of amazing games as well as a massive number of spin-offs such as Megaman X, Megaman Legends, Megaman Battle Network, Megaman Galaxy Force, take your pick. Everyone has their favourite Megaman game and can spend hours just talking about it. Me, there's only one Megaman game that comes to mind that truly means a lot to me in terms of what kind of person it's made me and how much fun it still is to play to this day. That game is Megaman 2 and it's the very definition of why I play video games. What makes this game special to me is for so many reasons. It's the first Megaman game I've ever played, and despite going through so many games and consoles in my life, this game is still considered to be one of my favourites, and most importantly, for a game critic's standpoint, Megaman 2 is the definition of what a sequel is and supposed to be. Superior to the original game in every way. To be fair, all the classic Megaman games in general did this with every sequel by bringing something new to the table every time. Megaman 3, you were able to slide and have a dog psychic called Rush. Megaman 4, you were able to charge your buster and were given an easily exploited item bonus. In Megaman 5, you could collect the letters to spell out Megaman 5 throughout the game, Donkey Kong Country style, to spawn in aggressive birds. What? Okay, maybe not Megaman 5, but in Megaman 6 you can combine with Rush, so shut up. While I admit that the sequels had their moments, they never had the same charm compared to the second installment, at least in my opinion. When the game starts up, you're given an opening and prologue explaining the origin of Megaman and what happened in the last game in a few short sentences. It may not be GR or Tolkien material, but it sure as hell beats the silent intro screen of the first game. As for the rest of the prologue, the game explains that Dr.Wily, the evil genius from the last game, is back and wants to take his revenge on Megaman by creating 8 new robot masters built exclusively for one purpose: to destroy Megaman! So it's up to Megaman, with the help of his creator, Dr.Light, to take down and destroy all 8 robot masters and take out Dr.Wily once again. Simple plot, but bear in mind that this was during the time when plot in video games involved rescuing princesses from these guys. Games back in these days relied on the simple idea of showing the player the world instead of just telling, a practice that I and many other people feel that have been lost in most modern games today, where they simply bombard the player with 10-page essays and built-in codexes to explain the world of their games. Sorry, but we're playing a video game, not reading a book. Another improvement of the game is how much better the robot masters are. Not only is there an additional 2 extra bosses to deal with compared to the last game, the robot masters in 2 are better designed and look more appealing compared to the boring gang of the original. So here we have the Megaman 2 Robot Master roll call. Metal Man, Flash Man, Wood Man, Bubble Man, Air Man, Crash Man, Heat Man, and Quick Man. Each designed differently but built for one purpose. My personal favourite is Metal Man, and you're gonna find out why in a minute. Fun fact, the Megaman series was known for interacting with fans by allowing them to participate in creating the robot masters for each game, and then the future godfather of Megaman, Keiji Inafune, will redesign them to fit into the game. Moving on to the gameplay. Nothing much has changed in the last game in terms of basic movement, but that's alright as the control scheme was fine to begin with. You run, you jump, you shoot, what's to improve? The biggest changes, however, comes from the weapons and power-ups you get from defeating each of the robot masters. Much like the last game, you pick from which of the robot masters you would like to track down and defeat. Complete the level and defeat the robot master and you gain their ability, and when you complete certain levels, Dr.Light will give you an additional item that will help you navigate through levels easier and you can reach places you couldn't beforehand. The abilities you get from the robot masters have their own uses, such as the quick boomerang to grab out of reach items, or the crash bombs to blow up certain walls, but the one ability that stands out the most for me and many other people is the Metal Blade. And this is why Metal Man is my favourite robot master. See, after when you defeat Metal Man, you're given this new ability that allows you to throw giant metal saw blades from any direction, which can take out most of the enemies in the game in just 1 or 2 hits, and what's more, it hardly drains much of its ammo. Another thing is that you can use the metal blade against half of the robot masters and they'll go down faster than you can say overpowered. Each of the 8 robot masters have a weakness and it's up to the player to find out which robot master is weak against what. As I already mentioned, half of the robot masters can be taken out with the metal blade, and even when you do know how to take out the robot master, it doesn't mean that they'll be taken out easily. Most of them have a pattern that can easily be exploited, but sometimes you need to think in order to avoid their attacks. Trial and error is the key to victory, and the biggest challenge actually lies in the level design rather than the bosses themselves. But if there was one thing I hated about the last game was how often the game loved to fuck you over with bullshit jumps and those fucking blocks. While the sequel does have those things, they aren't implemented as much, and if you're good, there's usually a way to avoid those annoying parts. However, you do need your A game when it comes to infiltrating the castle of Dr.Wily. The final 4 or 5 levels in the game are great examples of providing the player a challenge while not fucking the player over if they screw up. For example, in the first part of Wily's castle, you're supposed to use the item 1 ability to get to the top. Now of course, this being your first time, you will probably make mistakes and waste all of your ammo for that item. However, you can always navigate to the bottom and fire at the auto-spawning spring things and simply farm your ammo. Then there is the boss battle in the later level where you need to use the crash bomb sparingly in order to defeat all of the turret balls. This is probably the worst part of the game. If you mess up the first time, you can shoot at Sniper Joes and try and farm for ammo. And health, because farming with those guys is actually... And finally, the sequel does away with the score system that was as useless as all score systems back in the day, because who really cares about scores in those days when the biggest concern was to simply beat the game? And even if you did achieve a score so impressive that it breaks the number digits, who's gonna know, as the scores would simply vanish once you turn the game off? And taking the picture of a TV screen was the equivalent of taking a picture of the sun. Then there's the presentation of the game, where I feel that this game improves the most. With the first game, it kinda feels like the developers didn't get much money or gave a shit with the bare essentials. Actually, the first game didn't do so well in sales, and the only reason why Megaman 2 came to be was because the developers saw potential in the game and wanted to make an improved sequel, provided that the second game was to be done as a back burner project. It only took them a few months and the outcome was impressive. The levels are more detailed, the pickup items are more appealing, you get E-tanks that can refill your energy whenever you need it, and then there's the character designs themselves, which oozes imagination and creativity. That part of the game when you're suddenly chased by a dragon, don't laugh, but I actually remember that scaring the crap out of me when I was a kid. Maybe because the background turned all black and the only way of movement was jump from one block to another while the screen was scrolling. I'm sorry, but that was just fucking genius. Then that part when Dr.Wily turns into an alien and you're suddenly fighting in space for the final battle. How else can you finish an epic game like this? Then it turns out that the final battle was only a hologram and Dr.Wily just straight up gives up after that. Who cares, it's still fucking awesome. Now, I can't help but feel that this was a last minute decision by the developers in order to make a door open for a sequel at the time. I can't prove that, and there's no evidence to back up my theories, so until an official from Capcom comes forward to prove me wrong or explain about the final part of Mega Man 2, it's still food for thought. Then there's the music. Simply amazing for chiptunes, as each track is surprisingly memorable, which would usually end up being stuck in your head all day. When it comes to musical remixes online, Mega Man 2 would usually be the one to go to, mostly remixing the first part of Dr.Wily's castle or Quickman stage. Hell, I know of bands that made names for themselves by making songs based on Mega Man. The music is that good. My personal favourite is Crashman and Airman stages. Crashman being oddly cheerful compared to the action-packed tunes for the rest of the game, and Airman stages that sort of reminds me of an old British sitcom drama for some reason. Don't ask. From the opening screen to the ending, it's a chiptune masterpiece. What else can I say? And that's Mega Man 2. An old classic that I feel that everyone should play in order to see what a perfect video game sequel should be, at least in my opinion. After 25 years of Mega Man, it's a shame that it all has to end. With the cancellation of Mega Man Legends 3 and Mega Man Universe and Capcom refusing to reboot the series as there's too many spin-offs already, I don't think we'll be seeing the Blue Bomber ever again. The real kicker for me is the way things are with Capcom and how painfully obvious it is that they're trying to drown out Mega Man even more by releasing utter crap like an effortless mobile game to scare people off and refusing to do something decent like, I don't know, released Megaman and Megaman X collections for digital distribution. It's a depressing note to leave on, but if there's one thing that I've learned over the years, it's to remember the good times. Happy birthday, Megaman, and until we meet again. This has been my mental analysis, and hopefully I'll see you next time. You know what? It's nice to be proven wrong sometimes.